Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight for O&A for November 14th, 2022. All votes must be by roll call. If you are calling in from a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you're watching on a computer or device, there's a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use these options to be recognized to speak. In attendance, we have Councilor Frank Majoita, we have Councilor O'Hara, we have Councilor Tony Gross, Council President Valerie Gilman, and Councilor at Large Jeff Worthley. We have our Joanne Sanos, our clerk, and we have our clerk of committees, Sherry White. So without any further ado, we'll move on to the first person, which will be boards and committees for the Board of Health, Marco Palazzolo. Give me fulfilling the unexpired term to expire 2/14/23. Marco, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, that'd be excellent.
Sure. I'm a longtime Gloucester resident. I'm a nurse practitioner, currently practicing in Middleton. I heard about the Board of Health opening and I figured I'd be a part of the community and try to serve everybody. So here I am.
It's excellent to have you. We'll start off with, is there any questions from the committee? We'll start with Councilor O'Hara.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. Marco, first I want to thank you for your service to the country, serving in the United States Coast Guard for 4 years. That's greatly appreciated. I know Marco, I know he'll do a tremendous job. He'll be a huge asset to the city, to the Board of Health, and I certainly support his appointment tonight. And I wish you the best, Marco. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Majoita.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for your service for the Board of Health. It's a very important role, especially with me being still involved in food. In the previous life, I was in restaurants and hotels. So the whole Board of Health, all that stuff, I'm very familiar with. So it's great that the Board of Health is able to, keep people safe and stuff. So thank you.
Myself, I've known Marco now for 18 years. We used to work together at Extreme Truck and Auto, and he was awesome. He's come a long way. I remember when he was a high school kid and thinking what we wanted to do, and he took a dive into Coast Guard. And I thank you for that. That was an excellent commitment to your country.
Because of you guys, actually.
I know, but I've been fortunate to watch Marco grow, and very proud right now to have you in front of me to apply for an important position. And I support you 100%. And you've turned out to be more than I ever expected as a person.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So without any questions, do we have a motion?
Ordinance Administration recommends that the City Council appoint Marco Palazzolo to the Board of Health. He's fulfilling an unexpired term, and his term ends February 14, 2023, and I so move.
Second.
All right, and this is a roll call, and we'll start with Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Councilor Majoita.
Yes.
Councilor Nolan, yes. Marco, thank you very much. You do need to do your code of conduct online.
Already done.
And we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you very much. And you're welcome to stay. Or you can go.
There we go.
Sean, there is a quorum of the council.
Oh, all right, there is a quorum of the council. And also I'd like to say that our CAO Jill, I saw a brief picture of her, Jill Cahill is online as well. Thank you, Marco. And so next up, we have Christine Lundberg.
No,
I'm sorry. Yep, she's not here.
All
She's
right.
not on the call as an attendee.
Without any objection, knowing Christine and her past in the city, I have no problem putting her through to full council without any objection.
No objection.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Ordinance Administration recommends that the City Council appoint Christine Lundberg to the Gloucester Cultural Council term ending February 14, 2025, and I so move.
Second.
All right, this will be a roll call. We'll start with Council O'Hara,
Yes.
Council Majota,
Yes.
and Council Nolan. Yes. So next up, we have Lily. Is Lily on the line?
No, she said she was going to attend in person, but
Okay.
she's not here. either.
Lily has a wonderful background in a lot of things, but she's still kind of new to the city. So I'd like to see her before we put her through for full announcement to the council without any objection.
No objection.
So that will be continued to December 5th.
Excellent. Thank you, Sherry. So next up, we have Councilor CC 2022-032, Gross Worthley, amend chapter 22, traffic and motor vehicles by amending sections 2230, created purposes, section 2231, to act in official capacity under control of the mayor, section 2234, duties. So with this being opened up, I don't know if Councilor Gross or Councilor Worthley would like to take the call on this first.
For my elders. Oh, thank you. Handsome or tall. Full head here. So, as I went through some of the ordinances, looking at them, I saw that the Traffic Commission had an extraordinary burden put on them by having to deliver detailed studies of the traffic and parking conditions of the city, because number one, they don't have any staff, supporting staff. They're part of the planning board, which means community development, but number two, they don't have a budget, so they can't, afford to. And while they have their own local expertise, which is invaluable to us, they have no formal training or accelerated expertise, or however you want to say it, in actually being able to construct a report out of a study, either do a study or construct a report out of study. So I thought that was a little unfair to the Traffic Commission. So I made some changes or suggested some changes in the language that gave them a little bit less need for a detailed report, but to actually still have their primary purpose is making recommendations to the mayors on the matters of regulating traffic and parking in the city. And so I saw that, and I just felt that needed to be just clarified for their benefit more than anyone else's, because I just thought we were asking an awful lot of a board or commission of volunteers that just don't have the capacity or the support behind them to be able to do those kind of things, because we know how detailed and how the amount of work that goes into studies like that is quite a bit. And they just, as a board of volunteers, it's beyond us to ask them to try to do that kind of stuff. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilor Gross. Councilor Worthley, would you like to add anything to that?
Yes, so firstly, thank you to Councilor Gross for doing the detailed review of this. We hadn't talked about this, and I had gone through it as well on a different issue. And we compared notes, and it turns out that Tony had done the majority of the work already to support the changes he's recommending. There's a couple that we discussed not as a discussion in terms of open meeting law, more like should we submit this sort of thing and that sort of thing. And the one is that the Traffic Commission is an arm of the planning board officially. That's where it was originated. And there was some conversation about, at some point it changed about 3-4 years ago, that they are under the direction of the mayor and control of the mayor. And I think the mayor still should appoint and should have influence and have reports come to him or her. But where the planning board, city council, I'm not sure if the police and other agencies in the city that need input And even if they don't have the expertise or the equipment that Tony mentioned to do studies, they do have input that's valuable. And if the city council were making changes to the zoning code, sorry, the code of ordinances on traffic issues, or if the planning board were, I think they should have right to refer things to the traffic commission. Traffic commission can decide if they want to take it up or not, obviously. In my conversations with the traffic commissioner, traffic commission chair, he welcomes additional organizations, committees, sending things to them so they can have some input over it. So that's one of the changes. I had trouble logging on here, so I don't remember where that falls on your list of proposed ordinance changes, but simply, and I'll defer to Tony because he always does his homework. There's some language in there about allowing the council, planning board, any other organization.
No, just council.
I'm sorry, just the council, where we do vote on traffic issues. It'd be good for us to have input directly as well from the traffic commission.
Excellent. Thank you, Council
Thank
Worthley. At this point, I'd ask if there's any questions from our committee, and I'll start with Council O'Hara. You're muted, Council O'Hara.
I just want to thank Councilor Gross and Woodley for their efforts in modifying this. Thank you.
Excellent. Councilor Majota?
Same thing as Councilor. Thank you guys. I know how hard it is to, do our work and do this stuff and to put the time and effort to find this. I really appreciate it. I think it does help with the traffic commission too.
Excellent. And I feel the same. I think that Councilor Gross and Worthley have dug down deep and found some compromising ground where we can all work with. Sometimes things at O&A can be a little bit lengthy on information because it is ordinances and we're trying to protect our citizens to make sure that everything is fair. With that being said, Councilor O'Hara, have you had a glass of water? Because you have a bit of reading to do tonight.
Sure. Ordinance Administration recommends that the City Council amend GCO Chapter 22 Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 2 Administration and Enforcement, Division 2 Traffic Commission by amending Section 2230 Created Purpose, Section 2231 to act in an official capacity under control of the mayor, Section 2234 duties as follows. Section 2230 created purpose as a continuation of the planning board work and for the purpose of promoting the health and safety, convenience, and general welfare of the inhabitants of the city, to lessen congestion and confusion in the streets, to lessen the danger from fire and assist the fighting of it, and to facilitate the creation of more adequate provision for transportation and parking. There is hereby created a traffic commission. The commission shall have as its primary purpose the making of the recommendation to the mayor in matter of regulating traffic and parking in the city. Section 2231 to act in official capacity under control of the mayor. The traffic commission shall act in a official capacity for the city and shall be under the overall control and authority of the mayor, except in matters involving Gloucester Code of Ordinance and Gloucester zoning ordinance. The city council may make referrals to the commission for their recommendation. Section 2234 duties. It shall be the duty and responsibility of the traffic commission to make motor vehicles and all other forms of traffic within the city, its present and future parking needs and related matters, and to determine on a community-wide basis the city's needs. As such needs are determined, recommendations for the improvement of conditions accompanied by such maps, graphs, and charts as may be prepared shall be submitted to the mayor. Reserve parking spaces for handicapped persons and disabled veterans as authorized in GCO Chapter 22, Article 2, Division 2, Section 2237. Authority to approve stop intersections as authorized in GCO Chapter 22, Article 2, Division 2, Section 2238. Article 2, hawkers and peddlers.
No, that's the next one. Thank you, Councilor O'Hara.
Excuse me,
and I
Councilor,
so move.
one word, one addition that is being added was missed under section 22-34 duties. The first line, the word consider was missed when he was reading the motion.
All right, do you want to go back to the whole thing, or do you just want to add the word consider to 2234?
Excuse me, Joan, we can just add the word consider.
Yeah, you
Yes.
can.
Yeah.
Without any objection, we'd like to add the word consider to section 2234.
No objection.
No objection.
Thanks. So we have a motion and it has been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, so all in favor, there'll be a roll call. We'll start with Council O'Hara,
Yes.
Council Majota,
Yes.
Council Nolan, yes. Excellent, thank you. Next, we have CC 22-033, Gross Gilman, amend GZO Chapter 11, hawkers, peddlers, transient vendors, special events, Section 11-3B, local license permit required for fixed vending locations, procedure to obtain, in Section 11-5, fixed vending sites, specific locations, 6. So I'd like to start this off with either Council President Gilman or Council at Large Gross, who would ever like to speak first.
Excuse me, Councilor Nolan, before we begin the next matter, for the one we just finished, the public hearing date needs to be set,
Okay,
either December 13th or January 10th would be the next 2 city council meetings that the legal requirements meet.
we can go for either one. I don't think it's a pressing matter on time. The next one may be something we need to get in further and first. So
January 10th then.
I think that would be all right. If there's any
Yeah.
objection or,
Can I just say,
yes.
for purposes of Unicode update,
Mhm.
we are going on a quarterly schedule now. So if we have the public hearing on December 13th, I'll be able to get it into for the first quarter for 2023.
All right, so let
December 13th.
December 13th.
All right, Joanne.
Thank you.
The more we get in writing and be in the books,
Yes,
the better.
yes, because we are changing instead of once a year, we're going quarterly.
Thanks so much.
It's gonna take a little time for them to get up to speed, but I have everything ready to go. As soon as we finish, I'm submitting everything and then it's up to them to get it to us quarterly.
Excellent. Thank you, Joanne. I have no problem with that for December 13th.
Okay.
So now we're back to number 3. And Council President or Council at Large, who would like to speak first?
I'd like Councilor Gross to take the lead because he did the lion's share of the work.
So,
He needs to get some more lobster pots.
I don't need any lobster pots. Well done. So when we had that little kerfuffle about the taco truck, there was a concern that came out of some of that, that people who would like to prohibit vendors from being at a site could outbid. And there was nothing in the ordinance to prohibit that from happening. There was no season, no determination, no time on site required. So it was, that was discussed that evening by several people. And so I took a look at this, and with input from a few different people, including our legal, Suzanne Egan, and Val in particular, I came up with this language that then, which you'll be reading, Jamie will be reading soon, that gives them a time that they have to be there for 21 days between May 15th and September 15th, which puts them on site. There already was language that they had to have a business plan, they have to have their license, their due licenses. For qualification, Joanne, the city clerk, is the licensing commissioner. So that where it's referred to in here as a licensing commissioner, that's who the licensing commissioner is. Now, we also put in a requirement they had to be there for July, starting by July 4th, so that they didn't show up for the 21 days, they could still block that year. And it actually was Suzanne who came up with the July 4th, Suzanne Egan, City Legal. The July 4th, you have to be at least on site by July 4th. And then if they're not, by July 5th, it could go, possibly to the next highest bidder or go back up a bit. And the site wouldn't be lost for the season. So that was remedied there. And then also because we know that things happen in people's lives. So there has to be an appeal process. So we built that in, whether it's, this 2 summers ago, they lost the whole month of July. So, losing those 30 days and having to cram in 21 days could be problematic for certain people. So that's appealable to the licensing commissioner, who would be the city clerk. And gets to play, all of it. And then there was a provision about a tie. And it said the tie would go to the disabled vet, because the disabled vet gets preference. So the tie would go to the disabled vet. Well, there was no provision if there was either no disabled vet or if there was 2 disabled vets that had a tie. So I put language in there that addressed that then it would go, then they would have 2 days to be able to resubmit. The highest bidders would have 2 days to be able to resubmit their bids to try to outbid each other. So that's the gist of the language changes and the reasoning behind it.
Excellent. Great work, Tony.
Any questions?
I know that Council President Gilman worked on this a lot, especially with starting to have the meeting at Plum Cove Beach. And the concerns were
Yeah,
people,
that was a crazy meeting.
yeah, people, concerned about bidding on something just to
Right.
make it close. So,
Right.
Council President, if you'd like to have a few words on this.
Sure, I'd love that. Thank you. Thanks, Tony, for doing this, by the way. So the things that I think are important here, are just the spirit of what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to support this ordinance. People in Gloucester made it very clear, the 125 people that were at Plum Cove Beach made it very clear that they like having fixed vending sites. They like that. It feels good. They were eager to even get more than the 6 that we have, and that's been discussed, which is great. And so I think that, so in the spirit of this, we want to make sure that this legitimately plays out to be a really good business opportunity for small businesses who want to be successful, because not only does it help them out, it also makes our residents really happy because they really enjoy this new type of vending, and I think COVID made this very easy. It's kind of like a grab and go, right? And it's become even more popular. So we have the momentum. And now I think we've added some provisions. And we want to make sure that this moves forward quickly, because this bidding process begins the 1st of the year. So after an ordinance is approved, we have to pause for 31 days before it becomes effective. So by having the public hearing on November 22nd, and hopefully our council will, after hearing from the public, will move this forward with a vote. Then at that point, we would be in full compliance to begin this appropriately before January 1st. But at any point, if people want to add new sites, that's a possibility as well. But each site would have to be brought forward as a council order, as an amendment to this. And each amendment for a new site would have to be properly vetted through a public hearing process and then added to the ordinance. But that can happen anytime during the year. It just means that there would be a special bidding out for a new spot. And I reviewed that with our city clerk, and she was clear about that. So we've reached out to the 6 folks that are currently hold fixed vending sites. And I'm happy Paul Burrows is here today, just sitting in and listening, which is great. They all know about the public hearing date. They all have a copy of the ordinance, or the council order with the amendments, because we want it to be very clear, so that there are no questions for them, because, you know, they fall under this now, and we didn't want them to be concerned when all of a sudden somebody said, oh, there's a big public hearing on this. So I think we've done a pretty good job with reaching out to the 6 folks that have this right now. And some of them will be coming to the meeting. So those are my comments on this. And again, accolades to Tony. And I do know, per the council chair right here, if you want to do a pull down on the screen, Sherry can show everyone that, if you think that would be helpful, or maybe we feel comfortable with moving forward just as is.
I think we're pretty comfortable.
If I just to add to Val's point about the locations, you know, in section 11.5, it you know, fixed vending site specific locations, it said 6, but it named 9, 3 were reserved. So we changed that 6 to 9. So we didn't change anything as far as the original ordinance goes, as far as many sites as was available. But as the council president mentioned, it would require us to go, required to come before the, to create a new site would require an ordinance change to add that, because it has, you know, 4, 7, and 8 are listed as reserved right now. So, but they were always there. We didn't add new spots. They were always there.
Excellent. Thank you, counselors. Joanne, do you have anything to add to that?
I just want to clarify, the licensing commission is not just me, it's the fire chief and the police chief. But for renewals, the applications where I had a hawkers and peddlers license, they fill out another application and the police chiefs approves those. And I issue it on behalf of the licensing commission. So there's some licenses that the licensing commission will approve. And then on behalf of the licensing commission, I issue the license on that. Anyone who comes that is new, that needs a hawkers and peddlers, would have to go through the licensing commission and be vetted through the commission in order to get a hawkers and peddlers license in order to bid.
Excellent. Thank you, Joanne. Little out of the order, but Paul, you're here tonight. Is there anything you'd like to add to this?
No, I didn't necessarily come to add. I came, we were playing a little phone tag today, so I didn't know exactly. She mentioned before, like, you know, a little concern on a meeting. So when I saw the message, I had a link, but it wasn't going to it. So I just came to find what the specifics were on it. But if I could add anything, I guess it makes sense more for the meeting, but since I'm here now, Christine and myself, my girlfriend's Christine, we own a business. We do up at Stage 4 Park with Ray Pizzeria in Napolitana.
Very good pizza.
Thank you. I just want to say, I've lived in a few places. I'm from Newburyport originally, but I moved to Jersey when I was 6, and I've worked in all over the East Coast. And it's quite difficult a lot for, you know, I used to have the idea of a food truck, but the madness that goes along with it, and, you know, city ordinances and what's allowed and what's not, makes it very difficult. And it just so happens that, you know, we were in Gloucester. We worked at the Beauport, worked with Frank at the Beauport. But the fact that Gloucester offers this, a fixed spot, I hope that you guys know that it is a really big deal. It makes certain things like doable, you know, like we invested a good amount of money in this business. It makes it like legitimate, instead of being like, okay, well, we can go to Ipswich today for a couple hours, but then we have to leave, and we'll go to Gloucester for an hour, and then we have to leave. And it just, you spin your wheels and you don't do anything. Something like this, it makes it so you can actually, it's good, you know, it's a good business opportunity, and we're appreciative of it. So I was here, it's almost a misunderstanding why I was here. I was like, oh my God, I got.
I'm so happy you're here.
I hope that things aren't crashing down here. But, yeah,
Wow, we're
so-
just so.
The opposite direction.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So it's Paul, it's definitely the opposite direction. We love our vendors, and we love this. And I'd like to see the other 3 spots filled.
Yeah,
It's a great opportunity, and Your pizza is excellent, and I've never had any complaints from
Thanks.
anybody about the way you conduct your business or your food itself. So
Thank you,
it's great to have you here tonight and hear from you.
thank you.
So without any further ado, is there any questions or comments from the committee? And I'll start with Councilor O'Hara.
First, I want to thank Paul for expressing his thoughts. Counselor Gross, thank you for digging into this and cleaning it up, making it so it's more realistic with the present state of the economy and businesses that I think as a council, as a city, we need to support, and we need more businesses in our city. So thank you, Councilor Gross and Councilor Gilman. I will be supporting this tonight. Thank you.
Excellent. Councilor Majota.
Yes, I will also be fully supporting this. I think it's a great opportunity for small businesses. One, your quality pizza is delicious, and the other vendors too that are involved in town. It's a way for them to support their family. It's hard work. They invest a lot of their money with that fixed spot. It does help them. So I love the vendors group. Living in California, in New York, those trucks are awesome. Get out of work, hit the truck. It's just a different spot, different thing, different feel. So I love it. So yeah, just like I said, fully support it.
Excellent. And I too do support this. And Paul, I hope you feel welcome from the city.
Yeah, nothing but, yeah, it's been far more than anything we could have ever asked for. Yeah, it's been awesome.
And we as a council and administration, we try to find ways to make things better for our citizens, and our
Yeah.
vendors in these spots definitely do. As you saw the outpour for tacos.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's.
125 people
Yeah,
at that
it's-
meeting.
I felt bad when I heard of that, like sort of somewhat through the grapevine, but I just said, yeah, I felt bad for the situation. Didn't sound so great.
The tacos are delicious.
So is his pizza.
Excuse me,
Uh,
Council Nolan, there is a member of the public with their hand raised.
I don't see who it is or what it pertains to, so,
I can tell you,
okay.
Olympia Palazola.
And she's got a question about the fixed vendors.
The hand is raised, so I would assume so.
I would say that we're gonna continue with our regular
Okay.
format. It's not a public hearing.
There will be a public hearing.
There will be a public hearing, yes,
November 22nd,
Yes.
yes.
so, sorry, Olympia. So without any further ado, Councilor O'Hara, do we have a motion?
Once administration recommends that the city council amend GCO chapter 11 hawkers and peddlers, transient vendors and special events, article 2, hawkers and peddlers, section 11(3)B, local license permit requirement for fixed vending locations, procedures to obtain, and section 11-3C, local license permit requirement for fixed vending location, procedures to obtain, and section 11-5 fixed vending sites, specific locations 6 as follows. Article 2, hawkers and peddlers, 11(2) license and permit required. No vendor shall sell goods, wares, merchandise, or services as prohibited by GMLC 101 and 16. No vendor shall sell goods, wares, merchandise, or services unless duly licensed by the Director of Standards of the Commonwealth and or permitted by the City Licensing Commission, except for those articles permitted to be sold without a license under MGL-C 101 and 17. Section 11(3), local license permit requirement for fixed vending location, procedures to obtain. A, anyone, either principal or agent, that sells from a fixed location and not licensed or required to be licensed under definition in MGL-C 101 as a transient vendor or hawker and peddler must first procure a permit from the local licensing authority for the sale of goods, wares, or merchandise allowed to be sold under the provision MGL C 10116, a local permit is required for vendor holding only a state license. B, applicants for a location permitted for those areas established by this chapter within the city shall follow the sealed bid procedure as outlined in subsection C of this section. The cost of such permit shall not be less than $200 annually with no maximum established by the city council. Permits will be issued for up to 9 specific locations throughout the city as approved by the city council. The city council shall have the right to adopt and implement further lawful regulation and restrictions consistent with this article. Prior to bidding for a fixed location, a vendor shall be required to provide proof of valid current hawkers and peddlers license and proof that they are a disabled veteran if applicable as defined in section 11-1. 2, vendors shall disclose the general scope of sales. 3, vendors with a fixed location permit shall be on site no later than July 4th and open for business for a maximum of 21 days for the period between May 15th and September 15th. 4, failure to comply with the July 4th or 21-day minimum requirements shall cause the individual firm or corporation's permit to be revoked and disqualified from applying for a fixed vendor location for the following 2 years. 5, in the event of prolonged, unseasonable, inclement weather or unforeseen circumstances, a fixed location permittee may appeal to the licensing commission for an exemption from the July 4th and or 21-day requirements. Approved permits and assigned location shall be chosen by sealed bid procedures by the city's purchasing department on or before the first business day in February, 9 a.m. of each year. The first, let me repeat that, or before the first business day in February, 9 a.m. of each year. C, sealed bid procedures will be as follows. Sealed bids will be submitted to the city's purchasing department following public notice and from the first secular day in January to the last day in January each year. Further, all bids received to be opened by the purchasing department will be accompanied by a certified or cashier's check in the amount of the bid payable to the city. Unsuccessful bidders' checks will be returned immediately following bid opening. The sealed bid will be date and time stamped in the purchasing department. The purchasing department will open the sealed bids, and if there is a tie between 2 or more vendors on a bid amount, then the vendor who is a disabled veteran shall be given preference over all other bidders provided they meet all other bid requirements. If there is a tie between 2 or more disabled veterans, or there is a tie where there are no disabled veterans, the higher bidders may resubmit a sealed bid within 2 business days. Section 11-4, identification required. All fixed vendors operating within the city shall be required to prominently display a laminated permit obtained from the office of the city clerk, which provides the name, address of, and bears a recent photograph of permittee. Section 11-5, fixed vending site specific locations are 9, and I so move.
Second.
All right, this is.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I won't add, as Councilor Gross said, it hasn't changed locations. I can read those if you'd like.
They're the same. I don't think we need to read them. The one thing I will say is under section C, we did lose the word from first secular day in January to the last business day in January. So that's more of a miss on verbiage, and I think that's for that. Right, excellent. So this will be by roll call vote, and we'll start with Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Council Majota,
Yes.
and Councilor Nolan, yes. So this will be scheduled for a public hearing. I believe we're gonna do this November 22nd.
November 22nd, yes.
Because it is time sensitive. I want to thank Paul for being here tonight, and I want to thank Councilor Gross and Council President Gilman for their work on this. It was excellent.
I'm not sure if Councilor O'Hara, I think I heard him read that the vendors must be at fixed location no later than July 4th and open for business for a maximum of
21 days.
It's a
Yes.
minimum of 21 days.
A minimum, okay? So we can make sure that that was pulled up as minimum. We can recognize that. All right, excellent. So we'll start with Council O'Hara,
Yes.
Council Majota,
Yes.
Council Nolan. Yes, excellent. Thank you guys for all your hard work. So we have some matters to be continued. We have CC 2022-004, Gilman, Nolan, Manhard. Ordered the city council audit and amended GCO to be consistent with the new resident parking regulations adopted by the city council on May 25th, 2021. Thank you, Paul.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Continued from 10/31/22, and it's going to be continued to December 5th, 2022. Then next we have 2022-028 Worsley to amend GZO Chapter 5 Building and Building Regulations, Article 4, Construction of City-owned property, city-owned buildings, by adding new section 5-62. And this is going to be continued until 12/5/22 as well. So at this point, I'd like to ask if there's a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor, this is by roll call vote. Council O'Hara,
Yes.
Council Majota.
Yes.
And Council Nolan, yes. Thank you all and have a great night.
Sharon. Just turn it on.
Sherry, can you put the